I have a confession to make. I want to be an IndyCar driver. This has been a really disastrous week for me. I finished last in my first state championship race, the TSRS race in Denton. And the only reason I didn't finish dead last was because two people crashed, and they finished, I guess, penultimate last and last. But this has also been a disastrous month for me as well. A disastrous year. Last month, a girl broke my heart, but she didn't break it all the way, and so it's like still kind of there. So she basically left me with enough to feel, but not enough to heal, if that's the right way to put it. So as you can tell here, this heart is still connected. This is what the heart looks like. So it's not all the way broken, but it's broken enough to really hurt. But of course, there is still love flowing through the aorta here. Which is pinching the nerve. My mom also got a terminal cancer diagnosis last December, and that was extremely hard to deal with. Thankfully, it's looking up now, and it's gone from terminal to not terminal, so we're hoping for the best. And of course, that's a much more serious problem, but it looks like she's going to pull through. So it's basically been just a roller coaster of emotions for the last 4 or 5 months, and I've learned a lot. It's just I've gotten a different perspective on life through all of this pain. But in the midst of all of this hardship, on April 8th, 2018, I won my first kart race, and that is the most important day in my life so far. Also, I did go to Baltimore and Washington, D.C. on a business trip the week before that. I was going to vlog about that. But when I won this race, then that clearly got thrown out the window. So I guess that trip's no longer really important. Although I may include some footage from that one. It was pretty cool. That's just massive. I mean, Jesus Christ. Look at that. That's a town. That's a town right there. Clearly not as important as winning my first race. I won a race. This is the greatest feeling that I've ever had, ever, in my whole life. I feel great every time I hop into a kart, but winning a race, oh my God. So anyway, I'm going to go lap by lap, showing you what the race looked like and how I won the race. This is probably the part where my non-race fan friends will skip. So if you want to skip it, just I guess click a link over here. If I can do that, I don't know if I can do that. Or just skip to the end. I really recommend that you watch this. A lot of people don't understand what I do. I mean, I'm making this vlog mostly for my friends who have been wondering what I've been up to for the last 1.5 or 2.5 years. And this is what I have been doing, or at least what I've been working towards. I think I've been racing at some level since the end of 2016. So more than a year now. Over a year. Almost 2. It's going to be 2 at the end of this year. So it's been over a year, and it's been 2.5 years since I basically started this project of trying to get into kart racing. So this is what the video looks like during the daytime. As you can see, this is a cement track. It's the New Braunfels Hill Country Kart Club track. It's as slippery as it is because it's cement already. But on top of that, on race day it was like 30 or 40 degrees, so it was super cold. When it's cold, you can't get heat into the tires, and when you can't get heat into the tires, they don't have grip. They don't stick. Also, it's so cold that as you can see, I'm wearing a balaclava for the first time, with my Oompa Loompa hair sticking out a little bit. Also, for context, the way that race day looks like at the Hill Country Kart Club is you have pretty much all day to practice, and then you have a qualifying session. Wherever you qualify is where you start the first race, which we call the pre-final. and wherever you finish in the pre-final is where you start the final race. During this race, I qualified in second place, and so I was able to start in second place in the pre-final here alongside Travis Roderick, who's a great buddy of mine. So anyway, first lap of the pre-final, we start the race. I make a terrible start, and we go into turn one, and I almost lose second place to the third place guy behind me. But we go side by side, and eventually I just pull ahead of him. Then we go into the first hairpin. By that time, Travis has already pulled away from me quite a bit, and he just keeps pulling away. He was going so fast at the beginning of the race. Of course, I had no front grip at all, front or rear grip. And so he just kept getting further and further away. So at this point I thought, I'm just going to stick to second. I hope the guy behind me isn't on my tail, because if he is, I'm in very big trouble. And I'm going to be passed very soon. So I was really just trying to stay on the road, not make any mistakes. And I pretty much did that. But then, as the race progressed, I started to catch Travis, and I wasn't really going much faster. I think he was just going slower. And so I thought, okay, this is interesting. So it went from being basically the whole straightaway behind him to being basically on his tail. What had happened is that Travis's tachometer stopped working, ran out of batteries, and so he didn't know that he was going slower. He was just kind of cruising around, playing conservative, and trying to finish the race in the lead. Unbeknownst to him, both me and the people behind me were all catching him. And so what happened is, towards this part of the race, I was thinking, okay, if I don't pass Travis, then somebody's going to pass me, and then that person's going to pass Travis, and we're both going to be in a bad position. So a couple times during the last few laps, I did peek and try to see if I could make a way around him, but I just didn't have enough grip to do anything safely. Especially this being a buddy of mine. I didn't want to wreck his kart, and I didn't want to destroy mine because I had the state race coming up next. So after a pretty tense last few laps of me not being able to pass him, we go into the pits, and then the scales weren't calibrated correctly. So when I went over the scales, it showed that I was 15 pounds underweight. And I thought, there's no way. There's no way that's possible. And I went back over the scales. It still showed 15 pounds under. Then everybody's pounds showed under. So eventually somebody recalibrated the scales, and then everybody was legal again. So let's talk setup. During qualifying, my setup was a little bit too loose. So before the pre-final, I narrowed the rear width by 1/4 of an inch. Then it was actually too tight during the pre-final, so I widened it by 1/8 of an inch for the final. And then that felt pretty good. So anyway, so then we go out to do the warm-up laps. It's even colder than it has been before. And just to give you what my mindset was during this race, I was thinking, okay, I haven't finished a race this year. And I hadn't finished a race since, I think, November of 2017 at all. Mostly because of mechanical failures, although I did crash one time this year. So I thought, I just want to finish the race. I just want to get through this, and on top of that, if I can get a podium and finish either second or third, then I will be incredibly happy, because that'll be my first podium ever. The highest I'd ever finished was 4th, and I finished 4th like a bunch of times. So that was what I was striving for. I was not at all striving to win this race. So Travis and I had kind of decided, okay, Travis, you're going to win the race, and then you just go as fast as you can so that I don't get backed up and passed by the number 3 person. So if I can keep the people behind me behind, then they won't have a chance to win the race. That was sort of the strategy. So it's sort of like an informal team going on right then. And I didn't expect at all to be the fastest kart at the end of the race. So we go out, we do the warm-up lap. I fist bump Travis at the back of the straightaway, and then we line up to start the race. Now, when we started the race, something changed. I don't know, like this animal came out, and all of a sudden I made a decent start. I knew the guy in third place knew that I made weak starts, so he was gunning it and ready to pass me in the inside of that corner. So I made sure that didn't happen. And when I got to the first corner, I just cut right into the inside, right behind Travis. Nobody passed me. And then all of a sudden, I'm like on Travis's tail, and he's not going as fast. So I thought, uh-oh, I have to find a way around him. So I went to the right to try to look for a way around, and then to the left. I think that might be illegal, because I guess I changed my racing line 2 times, but nobody called me on it. And then I tried to make a pass on the inside of the first hairpin, and I was thinking, something else is going on. It's like, I want to win this race. I want to win this race. Now, I didn't make the pass on the very first attempt, and Travis went around, and then I lost quite a bit of ground there. So then I thought, okay, I guess that didn't work. And let's just make sure that the people behind us don't pass. So again, just like in the pre-final, he pulls away from me, and then he just kept pulling away from me a little bit those first couple laps. But then, as the race progressed, I started to get a little bit closer, and I don't know why that happened this time. I was getting faster lap times, and then I started to close in on him. And then right as I was on his tail, up helter-skelter, which is this uphill corner right here, I peeked in the next corner to see if I could find a way around. Decided I wasn't going to find a way around. There wasn't enough grip. So I slowed down, then he slows down, and he runs off the road. And then I thought, oh, okay, now this is interesting. So I tried taking the widest radius around that corner so that I could carry speed into the straight, and also so that I could not run into him because he was coming back onto the track. When he comes back onto the track, we bump wheels right here. Then there wasn't enough room for us on the straight, so I was on the grass for a big chunk of that straightaway. Thankfully, I was going in a straight line, so I didn't spin it. This grass is pretty slippery in these conditions, but all of a sudden, just like something kicked in when I was trying to pass. I think it was just this idea that I wasn't going to give an inch. I wasn't trying to be ruthless or mean or trying to run him off the track. I just decided I am not going to give an inch of territory. I'm just going to go as fast as I can without going through his cart or going over his cart. I should also note that at my previous race, 2 weeks before this, I did some very, very bad passes. Ran into 2 people trying to pass them and basically ended somebody's race. So this time I was really not wanting to do that. So my strategy in being not giving an inch was to basically drag race him down the straight, stay on the racing line, then at the very last minute, go into the corner and take the inside line. So I would have to back off a little bit right then, but only then, at the very last minute. But what would happen is that if I could maintain speed down the straightaway, he would be forced in the inside of the racing line, and so he would get a bad exit. And then that would give me a chance on the next straightaway to drag race him down there and then maybe pass him on the hairpin, which is what happened, basically. He got a bad exit, took the racing line, I took the inside line, and then outbraked him into the hairpin. Then at that point I thought, maybe I have this race now, but I wasn't so sure. I had to defend my position into the swamp corner right here, so I had pretty bad straight line speed down the back straight, and so I knew he was probably on my tail. Then I made a bit of a mistake at the top of the hill. So at that point he caught right up to me again, bumps me off the track again, but then I did the same strategy. Drag race him all the way down, and then at the last minute, cut into the corner. But this time, instead of drag racing him down the inside of the racing line, I drag raced him down the outside of the racing line. I think his strategy was that he was going to block my method of passing him down the inside of the next corner, and then I was going to have to take the long way around. But somehow I had enough grip to where I was actually able to pass him around the outside of that corner and then defend my position. And from then on, basically, I pulled away. I think by the end of the race, I had a 3.5 second lead. So my tire temperatures were perfect. But right after I made that pass, I think I was more focused, more concentrated than I've ever been at anything in my whole life. It's like something in my brain clicked and said, I get it. I know how to do this now. So I just went faster and faster and faster and just was like, glued to the track. I did almost spin out in one of those last laps. I went way too fast in this corner. Alright, my shift's almost over, so I've got to wrap this up. When the white flag flew, my first thought was back to the previous time that I'd led a race, and I thought, I choked that time, I'm not going to choke this time. And I was just a little more collected this time to where I could actually think about that without choking. Going up the hill, I slowed down a little bit, and I thought, I can't slow down too much because I don't know exactly how far of a gap I have at this point. So I just kept going faster and faster and faster. And then, of course, I hit the checkered flag, and it's the greatest thing. It took so much time and effort to get here and to just win one race. Not even a championship or anything, just one race. But it's just the greatest feeling in the world. And especially to be racing with your buddies and for you to experience it with them at the same time. It's just, there's nothing like it. Anyway, thanks to everybody that helped me on this path to winning one race. Thanks to Travis for being such a gentleman on track and for helping me off track. And thanks to Ryan for doing the same. And, I don't know, there's just so many people that I have to thank for this. I have to thank Tommy for not racing on this day because he probably would have beaten me had he raced. And it's just a mixture of luck and effort that created this. And hopefully I can keep it up, and maybe I'll win another race. My next race is in Odessa for the Back to Karting series, and that's this weekend on Saturday. So I will be vlogging for that one as well, and then I'll upload a video for that. See you then.